Hi, Neil here with Covers Camo, your source for custom seat covers. Today we're installing the seat covers in the 2013 Ford F-150. The style of seat covers we're installing today is a Kryptek camo seat covers in the bronze series. It's an awesome looking set in here, full Kryptek insert and trim in the Kryptek. It's just some nice dark tones in this black and gray truck. The exterior is white, but a lot of black and gray on the interior. And so let's do this full install. We'll show you all the steps how to get these seat covers on. Let's do it. All right, so we're getting started on this install. This is the 2013 Ford F-150. Today, the seat covers that we're doing are the Kryptek camo seat covers in the bronze series. It's gonna be an awesome looking set, full camo, Kryptek type-in for the insert and trim. And the first thing that we're gonna do is the front bucket seats. Now, we've already done the passenger seat over there. These seats are front buckets. So it's not a 40-20-40 where 3 people could sit there. It's a 2-person seating on this, and the headrests are removable, so we'll be popping the headrests out. We'll do the backrest first, the bottom, and then the headrest, and then we'll actually go right into the rear seats because the passenger is the exact same as the driver, so just as long as you watch the driver, you'll know how to do that. And first thing to get started here is to pop out the headrest. There's 2 little buttons on the sides of these headrests right here. You push both those buttons in at the same time, lean the seat back a little bit because it'll hit the roof if you don't, and then you can pull that headrest out. And once we have that headrest out, I'm actually just gonna set that in the back for right now, and now we can start working on the driver backrest. And the driver backrest, here's the cover for it right now, and there's gonna be a felt section on the front right here. That's gonna push through the crack in the seat backrest bottom right there. Push that through. There's gonna be Velcro that it's gonna attach to on the back side right there. So we're gonna pull that over, and then the other thing you wanna make note of is this is gonna cover the full back sides. It's gonna have a pocket on the back side right here. So it's gonna cover your rear pockets. Make sure you pull any gear out of your rear pockets right now because that's gonna pull over and cover that. So one other little trick that you may think about doing is pull the seat cover inside out, halfway or a quarter of the way inside out like this. It gives you a little bit more to hold on to as you are pulling this seat cover over. You can see this has a little bit of a lightweight foam backing on the underside of this material. Helps it conform a little bit better and shape to the seat a little bit better. Now, there are headrest cutouts for your headrests, and that's what's going to be one of the first things I'm going to try to line up is these headrests. Now, the other piece too is this little side airbag tag that identifies that this is the outside of the seat because your side airbags, they're built into the side of your seat here, and they would blow out the side of your seat. And so I always line this up, this side airbag, with that outside of the seat. If you see this on the inside over here, you have the wrong cover. Yeah, I would have the passenger, and I need to swap the cover. So you want this on the outside where it says side airbag. Okay, so we're gonna start pulling this over. I'll do one more double check. Yep, no gear in that rear pocket. We're good to go. Start pulling this over, and then what I'm gonna do is line this up. These holes right here is what I want to line these up. So once I have those lined up, you can start to stretch this over, and it just pops over like that right there. So do the same thing over here. Just stretch that over like that. Pops over, and see how nice and flush that finishes out when you tuck that underneath there. And you want to do that because you want to have these buttons exposed to be able to push and pull the headrest up and out when you need to do that. All right, so now that that's on the top and that's filling out the shoulders right there, I'm gonna actually start to roll this cover down. Now, I had it folded inside out, and now I'm just gonna undo that right there. I'm just gonna pull that down nice and tight. Same thing over here. I mentioned that this has felt on the front side right here. And that felt is what's gonna push through towards the back. Before I push it through to the back, I'm just gonna make sure that everything is lining up nice on the sides, that I don't need to shift it from one side to the other. That's all looking good there. Then again, I'm just gonna roll this up like this, give it a nice pull again, like that. Yeah, that's all looking great. So now what we'll do is take this felt and push this towards the back. Now on this year, this 2013, there is not a seat bib, like a covering on the back side of the seat that needs to be released. You're just gonna be able to push this right through. On newer trucks, there's often a little seat bib that you gotta go on the back side of the seat and unhook that before you can push this all the way through. So we're good to just keep pushing that through here. Okay, so now that that's started through, we're actually gonna change positions, move to the back so you can see where I grab that and pull it on the back side, pull that nice and tight. So we're on the back side of the driver's seat now. You can see this is that felt that we just pushed through right here. So what you're gonna wanna do is just get all of that pulled through evenly, give it a nice solid pull there, and then we're gonna attach this up to the Velcro right here. Now this Velcro was covered by another strip of fabric. We're just gonna take that off, expose the Velcro. Then we're gonna pull this, again, nice and tight, pull that up, and then stick that on right there. And now, as I'm getting this pulled, one thing I'll do is I'll check the front of the cover and smooth that out as much as I can. Sometimes I'll even take my other hand and push down on that a little bit and smooth that out as I'm pulling this like that, just to really crank that down like that. Once I get it pulled nice and tight, again, that's where you're gonna take this, pull that up like that, and then stick that on right like that, and then you are good to go on that. And I'll just make a few little last minute adjustments here. So showing you the front side of the driver backrest, where this is a great tip to massage the cover here. So I'm gonna take my hands and I'm just gonna run it down the cover like that. I'm just kind of massaging that cover to help it conform down. And then when I get that slack out, when I get that tight like that, that is when I'm gonna wanna attach that Velcro on the back side right there. So can be helpful if you have two people. You could have one person kind of pushing down on that cover on the front side like that, and then attach it down. What I'll do right here is I'm just gonna make sure I've pushed all that slack out, give that another nice pull on the back side right there, and then stick that down. Now we're working on the driver bottom cover, and again, it's Kryptek Titan, super durable, great canvas fabric, gonna be great for this customer. Now, one thing you will see in this 2013, this foam is worn down a little bit. It's not bad, but some foam is really, really worn down, and you know, this is all torn up from years of use. This one's not too bad, but you can see it's worn down a little bit. So one thing you might consider is getting a little piece of scrap foam, and either, you know, you can like glue that on or glue that foam to the seat cover, and then just kind of stick that on right there, just to help that a little bit, because this is a lightweight foam backing on these covers, not super thick right there. So that's just a consideration for you, because the covers are designed to fit a original foam material there, and so it's something you might want to do is just build that up a little bit more. I actually did put a real lightweight piece of foam in here that I'm just gonna and I just glued that to the cover right there, and we're gonna slide that on. That'll just help build that up just a little bit better. I mean, it's not anything fancy, or it's not a new foam core piece or anything like that. It's just a little bit of extra there for the customer. Okay, so what we're gonna do is start fitting this on, and you're gonna see this cover has straps, two outside straps that are gonna go up to some buckles right here. Here's these buckles. We'll show you how those attach here shortly, and then there's some anchor straps here that go on the back side, go underneath, hook on. That helps the cover from sliding around, it locks it in place. Okay, so we're gonna start fitting that in right here. There's also gonna be an outside draw cord right here. Okay, and this draw cord is gonna tie to another draw cord on the outside, and that just goes around the full bottom of the skirt, just hugs that bottom of the seat in a little bit better. And what we'll do is start to fit this into place, and then I'm gonna show you a view from this other angle over here, how this kind of all tucks in right here. But first, the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this cover and push this through right here, through that seat crack right there. Okay, so we're pushing that all through. It has some of those hooks on it right now as well, so we're just gonna push that in like that, and that strap is gonna go back as well. Once I have that all through, I'm actually gonna take my other arm here, my right arm, and just kind of pull that back and get the cover to where this line right here on the front is lining up with the front edge. And then I can see that these outside lines are lining up with the edge of the seat right there. And that's pulled over, so that's all looking good. That's lined up good now. And so what we're gonna wanna do now is go on this side right here and tuck this in. I'll show you how to do that. All right, so what we're doing now is we're on the outside of the driver's seat, and we're gonna take this material right here, and we're gonna tuck that into the plastic trim right here. Okay, so we're gonna just push that all in like that. That's gonna help it trim out nice and clean on the outside right there. Okay, and then this is another little trick right here for this draw cord. And this is something you may want to do at home, is you may grab like a tongue depressor type stick, or like a plastic. This is a windshield install tool, actually, is what these are designed for. And I'm gonna take this, you could try pushing this through without this stick, but this is just a little pro tip for you. And this should help us. I'm just gonna take some tape. This is actually electrician tape. I'm just wrapping this around like this. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take this, because this goes best if you can push that through and get on the inside of your plastic right here. Or sorry, I should say on the inside of your seat. Well, on the inside of this plastic and on the outside of the seat right here. So I'm gonna push that through like that, and you gotta line that up. And we're gonna grab it from the bottom down here. There we go. So now you can see, here's that kind of tongue depressor type stick right there, and I just pulled that out. And here's this draw cord around the outside right there. And just so it doesn't retract back in right now, I'm just gonna stick that on right now. And then, because I'm gonna go to the other side, get the other draw cord, and we're gonna end up tying them together. Now here's the draw cord that we just pulled through right here with that little trick I was showing you. And this is the draw cord going on the outside of the seat. It's actually on the outside of the seat belt as well. And so what you're gonna wanna do here is you're gonna want to take this and tie a noose in one side over here, and then we're gonna end up tying these two together. So I'm gonna tie the noose here like that, and this other one we're gonna come through it like this right here, and you can see I'm coming. So that's that loop that I tied right here, and then I'm gonna come through right here, and I'm gonna shift that around a little bit just to get in a better position for me. And then I'm just gonna pull that nice and snug. I don't have to crank on it too hard, but just get it kind of snug tight right there. And then I'm gonna pull that to right here to where that's nice and snug, hold it with one hand, and then I'm gonna come through with my other hand and tie one and two loops with that. So essentially just tying that off right here. Okay, so we got that tied off now like that. That's nice and snug tight. It's looking good there. Now what we're gonna do is take these straps and these hooks as well, right here. And I'll do these hooks first, how about? Now this is the part where you'd wanna grab your safety glasses, throw those on. And so that way you make sure, anytime you're doing a little hook like this, you don't want these coming back at you. So we're gonna take these hooks and we're gonna go underneath. And I'm going underneath and I'm finding a solid spring. Okay, so not a cable, not a cord, but there's these curved metal springs underneath your seat. And what you can do is you just go underneath there and you just hook onto one of them. Underneath like that. Okay, so I got one hooked and reach underneath with this other one here and do the same thing. There we go. Now we got the other one. Okay, so there's those two hooked on right there. So those are good. Now what we're gonna do is take those outside straps right here, and these are gonna pass underneath the seat all the way to the front where there's some buckles. We're gonna attach them to the buckles. Now, when I'm passing these straps, I always like to go as high as possible, as close to the seat, and that way I'm staying above any motors, electric cables, cords, things like that. Okay, so I've passed that most of the way up there. What I'm gonna do now is make a little bit more room by shifting the seat back, and then I'm gonna show you on the front side how we attach these straps and buckles. Now, a great tip is to raise this seat up all the way. If it's an electric seat, raise it all the way up as high as it can go, because that's gonna give you plenty of space to work with underneath the seat. So raise that seat up there. Now, coming up to the front here, this is where you have these straps. And these straps, I've passed these up above the electric motors as well as any electric cables underneath the seat. So I have that positioned right now. And now here's this buckle right here. And what we're gonna do is pass this through this slot, the inside slot right here, and then the outside slot, right like that, okay? Now one tip, because then that'll grab the teeth and lock in. Now one tip for you though, is if you are doing this and you're struggling with this buckle and it's not seeming to grab the teeth, one tip is make sure you see these grooves right here, these teeth right here, that needs to be on that inside bar right here. If you're seeing it and it's looking like this right here, where you have grooves on the outside bar, it needs to be flipped upside down. And a simple way to do that is you could just unbuckle this and flip that like that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna flip that around right here like that again. I can see those deep teeth right there on that inside bar. And then again, I'm gonna go through that middle slot right here and then through that outside slot right here like that, okay? And then I'm gonna pass that underneath the seat and then tighten that up, okay? And when you tighten that up, you're gonna take one hand, tighten with one hand, and then take your other hand up on top and compress the seat down like that. I even take my chest sometimes and kind of push on that seat. Just compress that seat. That really helps to get that seat cover to conform around that seat cushion like that. Okay, and then I've already tightened that one up over there. So that's looking good. You can see those getting tight, right, like that. Very good. Okay, we'll just kind of straighten things out a little bit more, massage around the seat a little bit more like that to smooth it out, and then your seat bottom's all done. Now we're gonna do the front driver headrest cover. Install this. Here's the cover right here. This is, the bottom part is with this elastic down here, and then towards the back side of the headrest is where this elastic meets, where it's sewn together right there. So that's gonna be your back side. Your front is this one without it sewn together right there. So just kind of smooth elastic on the front there. And now this is a very tight headrest to install. So I always like having the headrest out, and I like starting with the headrest turned inside out a little bit like this as well. And a big thing I like to do is compress this headrest down, and we may even need it. I may need to do this on this one as well, is putting it on some carpet and really to get some pressure on that, because it's a tight one. But what the idea is that you're gonna just start pulling this over and working this on, this headrest on. The biggest trick that helps on the carpet is because then you can put your knee onto the headrest and compress that headrest down more so. So then you even get a little bit more pressure. Now, if you're not gonna do that, you can see I'm starting to work this on without getting on the carpet. I may show you on the carpet as well, just so you can see if you wanna do that as well. But that can be helpful. So you can see if you're on the carpet like this, that can help because you can push down with your knee like that and then pull this over. And again, I just go back and forth, side to side, sliding this on. And it's tight, but that's how you want it. You want to have it finish out nice and tight. You don't want it to be loose, sliding around on you. You want a nice, good cover on your seats here. You just keep working it side to side like that. I'm taking my thumb right here and pushing the headrest fabric underneath as I pull that over. That often helps as well as I get this on here. As I get close to the bottom here, I'll start to unroll that cover again. I'll just keep working that down until I get over these edges like that, and then I'll show you here in a second how that all finishes out. Now, one last trick, if you're really struggling to finish the last bit of it, you may want to go onto some kind of scrap piece of carpet or flooring, so that way you're not damaging your flooring, but that way you can pull down like this on the headrest as you pull that down right here and just finish that last bit of it out. Typically I can get it without having to push down too much on it like that, but that's one other little trick for you. Now, when you get it like this, I have it hooked down, but I need to straighten things out because I don't want to leave it like that. So you can see how it's kind of cockeyed. What we're gonna do is start rolling this fabric around to straighten that out now, because I can see this line needs to come over a little bit more. So I'm just gonna roll that material like this on the headrest itself, like that. Rolling that around. Okay, so that's starting to straighten up a little bit better. It's looking much better. I can see this is starting to line up a little bit more. I can still see this is pulled a little too far here. So I'm gonna shift that cover around so it's lining up a little bit straighter, like that. Okay, that's starting to look a little bit better there. And for most people, that would actually be the end. I'm just gonna do a few more tweaks to it just to straighten it out a little bit more and get this centered up a little bit better. Again, it just takes a little bit of time just to kind of get it just right how you want it there. That's about where I want it though. Now, one last little pro tip for you is I'm gonna reach my hand in and push all of the excess material. When you sew two pieces of material together, you have a little excess on the inside there. And I'm gonna push that to the outside. That just helps kind of smooth out the front a little bit more. And do that same thing over here. Reach in there, make sure that's all pushed to the outside. You could go to the outside or the inside, it really doesn't matter, but you just want it all to be the same, all on the outside or all on the inside, and that helps to smooth that all out. Okay, sweet. So that's all looking good there, and there we go. So that's it finished out right there. Here's the bottom, all straightened out. Again, that where that meets together, that elastic, that's the back side right there, back side of the headrest, and looks good. Nice tight headrest cover. Looks good there. We're gonna pop this back into the driver backrest now. Driver seat is all done. We just finished that headrest. We got that backrest on there. The the driver bottom is all done as well. All looking good. Now it's time to move to the rear seats. Now we're working on the rear seat. This is the crew cab, and it's the 60/40 split seat. So you can see the driver side 60 section, larger section, folds separately than the passenger side over there. So that's the 60 that we're gonna do first. The backrest is solid. It does not have a center armrest folding down on that. So we're gonna do the backrest cover first. And the first thing I'm gonna do is get this headrest out of the way. So push these two buttons right here, just like we did the front seats. Push those buttons there, and then this is gonna pop up, and you just pull that out right there. I have noticed that it needs to be in the up position right here to get that headrest out. So we're gonna set that up, pull it up, get it out of the way for right now. And then to get the seat back down, you gotta pull this lever right here. We're gonna pull that down. Now this is the cover right here, and you're gonna see that this cover needs to go on the underside of this seatbelt. Okay, so I'm gonna pull that seatbelt out like that. Pull that cover underneath it, just like that. And then there's gonna be this Velcro that I'm gonna open up, and that's gonna go on the back side, attach that right there. Now, the other thing that you'll notice is that these headrests are punched out right here, and so we're gonna fit that around right there. Now this will be my first step to kind of guide the seat cover into place here, is doing those headrest posts like that. And just like we did on the front seat, you're gonna start, just pull those around like that. Okay, so just hook it around right there. Just pop that around like that. Okay, so now that's gonna help hold that cover into place as I fasten the rest of it down here. Hook that around. The other part of this install is it's gonna have these straps to these buckles, and I'm actually gonna undo that. So these two straps here, and then you're gonna have some side straps. These side straps help hold that side in a little bit more. They all go to these buckles, and in case if you didn't see the first video right here, you need to make sure that you see these teeth facing you right here, these deep grooves on that teeth, on that first bar right there. That's what you're gonna be looking for, and you go through this inside slot first, and then through that outside slot right there, and then that's how that attaches up right there. So, but what we need to do with those straps though, is that these straps are gonna pass on the back side of the seat, because this seat actually doesn't come off, it doesn't pull down like some of the newer Ford crew cabs do. And so we're gonna pass those down. The other thing that we're gonna be doing today is, once I get this lined up right here, I'm gonna make some little slits, just in the case that you have a pattern or a seat cover that doesn't have pre-cut holes. I'll show you how to make a pre-cut hole just with some small slits right here. We're gonna take some little nipper scissors. Once I have it into place, so I'm not gonna cut that yet, because I'm gonna wanna make sure I have that lined up nice and good before I make those cuts. And then we're gonna get those straps down, get everything tightened down nice and good. So this Velcro that we opened up when we started this specific cover, it's gonna go underneath right here, right underneath that seat belt, like that, and attach up right underneath there, like that. So it doesn't go on the outside, just in case if you were trying to put it on the outside there, it's gonna go go underneath like that. Okay, so I've pulled them together. I stuck that on now, so that Velcro is attached like that. So we're good on that one. Now the next steps are to take these straps, these two straps, and they need to pass down the back side of the seat. And so you're just gonna drop that down towards the back. And some seats are really, really tight and hard to pass straps down. This one's actually not too bad. And so I can see that it's dropping down pretty good. Let's see if we can find those with our other hand here. Yep, so there's that strap. Here's this one right here that I passed down. Here's this other one. So there's those two straps. So not too hard to pass those down. I just kept it in the up position the whole time when I did that. But now what we need to do is we need to take this section here, and now we need to pass that through. Now, one thing you could consider doing, this is just a little pro tip for you, is pull that strap. I just pulled that strap from underneath that I was just showing you. And just because it's a little easier to see right here, you can take this and go through. Again, look for that deep groove like I taught you earlier. So we're going through this buckle just like that, lined up. And then we're gonna go through this right here. So now that we have that attached, I'm gonna take out some of the slack, just gonna pull a little bit tighter. And then I'm gonna push that through. That just helps so because when we tighten these up underneath the seat, it does get a little tight underneath there. And so this is just a little bit easier to see while you're doing this on the top side of the seat before we go get underneath there. Okay, so we got that, and then tuck that, push that through. Now the other part that I mentioned was there's these outside straps right here. These are gonna go on the outside of the seat, okay, and they help hold in the sides here better. We're gonna go on the outside and then around to these buckles right here. So same thing that we did on those other ones. Go through that strap and this one. And I'll show you how to really tighten these up in a minute, but I'm just gonna take out some of the slack right there and then just kind of push that back into the seat crack. Do the same thing over here. Make sure I'm grabbing the right strap here. I think this is my strap from this other passenger seat right here that I just need to finish tucking around out of place right here. But now I have this 60 section strap right here, and I'm gonna take this, then go through these slots again right here like that. Okay, so just like that. Take out that slack, and then we'll tuck that underneath. And then I'll show you after I get into position how we really start cranking those on and tightening this down. Now, when you're ready to take these straps and buckles and really start tightening those down, the way you're gonna do that is you're gonna get the seat into the up position, and we've already pushed those straps and buckles underneath here. And you're gonna get on the underside of the seat like this with your arm and reach your arm in like that, grab that strap that needs to pull up, and you just tighten that up, pushing that up back towards the top of the seat. Now and there's two of them like that you're gonna do underneath the seat. Now for the ones on the side, those ones you can actually pull it out here. When you attach it down there, you can push it back up and pull it like this at an angle like that on the outside of the seat, and then tighten that up right here. And I always like pulling the seat cover down, massaging it against the seat here, holding it, and then tightening that strap. That locks that in. Nice. So that's just a tip for you, is you're getting underneath the seat. You have to lift that seat up as you reach underneath there and pull those up. The hardest ones are those two in the middle. Now, if your arm, you're like, there's just no way my arm can fit underneath there. You can see my forearm can fit up and underneath there. And it does help a little bit if I pull that seat back into a little bit of an angle. It opens that that seat space back there a little bit more. Now, if you're just like, hey, there's no way I can get my arm back there. Now, one thing you could do is you could take this strap that needs to be pulled up, and you could tape that to like a wood dowel or like a metal hanger, and you could push that back up on the back side of the seat right here and then pull it up that way. So that'd be another way that you could tighten that strap up right there. I was able to get that underneath, just reach underneath and pulling that, tightening that underneath like that. And the trick is just to really kind of get your arm underneath the seat, reach in there and pull that strap up. So we got that all straightened out. That's looking good. I've tightened those all down. That's looking nice. I'm just gonna finish kind of massaging things out, smoothing it out a little bit more. Things are looking good though. And now it's time to move on to the 60 section bottom. Now I forgot to mention this, but this section right here did not have pre-cut out holes. So I'm just gonna show you how to make your own holes here. And we have the seat cover installed already, and that's where what you want to do is install it first, so that way it's in place. Okay, so you have it exactly where you want it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make an X. So we have these little scissors here, and we're going to cut a line like that. The trick here is to not make the X too big. You just want it just big enough that it fits around your headrest post section right here like this. Okay, so I've seen some people actually leave the X and just push the headrest right in right there, but you really should be making it big enough so that way it pops all the way around this little gray box, because that way you get access to your buttons to release the headrest again. Okay. We're making an X here, and you know what I did? I just felt right into where that hole is on the box right here. So I'm just kind of making that X right over that hole where the headrest is going to go down. So that may be big enough, and what I'll do is let's try stretching that around, and I may need to make it a little bit bigger. This fabric you can actually it's pretty good because you can cut this and it's not just going to run on you as soon as you cut it. There we go. So that's looking a little bit better right there. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to stretch that around. Okay, perfect. So that's looking good like that right there. We're going to do the same thing here, and should probably open this up just a little bit more here. Let's do it on the back side. There we go. Now we got that over. Okay, and if you happen to have a little tool like this is kind of a little spatula type tool, a little plastic spatula. I use that to help use that as a little more leverage. Now, I did this one with just my hands, so you can see it's definitely doable with your hands right there. You just may need to make the cut just a little bit bigger. Okay, so we got that on. That's great. Now we're gonna move to the 60 bottom. Here's the 60 bottom. We're gonna take this cover and slide this on right here. Here's the top side. Here's this felt that's gonna go towards the back and stick onto this Velcro on the back right here. So we're gonna pull that over. And just like I did on the front covers, I'm gonna turn this inside out a little bit as I pull this over. It's just gonna give me a little bit more to hold on to as I pull this on. So turning it about a quarter of the way inside out like that. And I'll lift this up out right here. Start sliding this on here. One big sleeve, it's actually gonna be a lot easier than that backrest was. Just pull this over like this here. Okay, now that I have that filled in the top corners right here, we are going to start unrolling that over the seat. Okay, good. Like that. I'm gonna lift up the seat belt receiver right there. Okay, so I just pushed that felt through on the back side right there. You can see here's the cutouts to still use the child seat attachment bars right here. So that can slide through right there, like that. Now those felt pieces, again, are underneath here. We're gonna grab those, pull them both down, and attach this Velcro on. Now this right here again is covered with some fabric. We're gonna pull those fabric strips off in preparation to have this stick down to that felt. I'm gonna do that technique where I'm just massaging over the seat here, making sure everything is laying down nice and flat. Okay, so I'm just getting that felt again down here. Give that a nice pull. Right there. Making sure that it's smooth. Yep, that's looking good there. So now that I got that pulled right there, take this, and this needs to stick down to that felt right there. Okay, good. So we have this side pulled down. Now this one right here is just gonna stick to this OEM carpet right here. So we're just gonna pull that down nice and tight like that. Pull that. That's looking good there. You can see this is open. This cutout is lined up right there, so you can still use that to release the seat. That's a critical piece to function your seat there. Okay. And get this last felt right here. I'm gonna smooth it down on the top again like that. Pull those together nice and tight as you can go. Stick that on like that. Nice. Sweet. Well, I love having this under seat coverage right here. So that way if you have the seat up, the dogs are in here, you got messy, dirty bags back here, it's gonna be easy to wipe this down. Love having that coverage there. So we're gonna hold that back down right there, like that. Just make sure everything is looking good. And yeah, nice and tight on that 60 bottom. I'll just keep massaging that in a little bit. Can get that to conform down a little bit more. But that's looking great there. Corners are all filling out nice right there. Bottom side's looking good. I got that pulled pretty tight, as tight as I could go there. And so that's looking good there. I may look at even just loosening it up just a little bit so this seat sets into the seat a little bit more, because I cranked on that as tight as I could go. But that's looking good there. Last piece to do is the headrest covers, the rear headrest covers. So here's the rear headrest. This is the outside headrest. It's a larger headrest. And we're gonna slide this cover on. Similar to the front, it has an elastic down at the bottom. And this part that comes together right here is the back side, right there. Okay, so we're gonna slide this over like this. And This one is not as tight as the front here on this particular pattern, so it won't be, I don't have to push it down on the carpet like we did the other one. But we'll slide this over like this here. Okay, so that's looking good there. I'm just going to finish pulling it down. Now, one last thing on this piece, there's actually a little button on the inside right here. And if your truck, if the set of seat covers don't have a cutout already for it, I'll actually show you how to make a little cutout. Really simple, just a little X, similar to what we did on the backrest here. Just gonna slice a little X right there, and I put a little tape on that headrest button right there to just protect that as I'm cutting that X. And once I get this right in the exact spot where I want it, then I'm gonna make that X right there, and I'll show you how to do that, and then the headrest will be done. So now we're gonna make a little bit of an X to expose this button underneath here, okay? Like that right there. So just cutting a little X in this fabric here. I have the headrest all installed and positioned right where I want it. Now you could, if you wanted to, you could mark this fabric. This fabric marks really nicely with chalk. If you just mark this circle that you want to make with this, you could just cut a circle, and that would also do it. And you just mark it with chalk before you do that. That's another way I've done these little. This is called the cut and tuck method. And every now and then there's little controls that we might cut and tuck for, or if we want to do a little specialty install or have something finish out just a little bit better, sometimes we do this cut and tuck. Just to get it a little bit more flush. It's kind of a nice finish on it. So now we've cut, and now we're tucking, and then I'm going to take off this tape that I put on this button right here. That was just to protect the initial cut, as I did that with the scissors. And I'll just finish tucking that extra material underneath there. And okay, there you go. So there's that button on the side right there. So it finishes out really nice when you do a cut and tuck method like that. Some guys don't even use that button, so you could just, like, most people don't even know what it's for. I think Ford put that in here so you could drop that headrest down like that. Probably easier to slide out if you bump that down, or maybe gives you a little bit more visibility out the back as well when you have those down. So that's something that you could either cover over or do the cut and tuck method and expose that. Okay, so now we're all done on the rear seat. Good job. The center headrest, I actually do have that. Let me grab that. Same install method as that other, the other headrest right there, like that. We're just gonna pop that in now like that. So we got that headrest. That's looking good there, all set up. So all good to go now. We're gonna go film some videos for the floor mats and dash covers that we did on this same vehicle, and so watch those on our YouTube video. And good job through this install. If you need any assistance through your seat cover install, feel free to reach out. Thanks. Thanks so much for watching this video. Again, this has been Neil here with Covers Camo, your source for custom seat covers. If you want to see more products like this that we've reviewed today, you need to go to coversandcamo.com. Again, we are your source for custom seat covers. If you have a truck, UTV, car, SUV, maybe another vehicle, you need to go check us out, coversandcamo.com. We look forward to building you an awesome looking set of seat covers and maybe some other products to protect that interior. Again, coversandcamo.com. Thanks.